This isn't just about me shaping a tree. This is about the tree that shaped me. Today's the weekend. I have a weekend project. Transferring this tree into this bonsai pot. 2195, it's a juniper. You took me down memory lane of a tree that really has shaped my life. I was 18, lived in a Volkswagen bus, and I wanted to spend some time in Sedona, Arizona. Just a solo trip. Got to this giant rock. The rock was big, like a ship. As I was walking across this rock, I came across a tree, and this tree was growing out of a crack. I only have one picture of the tree, Polaroid camera, with old film. I thought that would be fun. I had 2 rolls of film. I was going to use it on the trip. You could see parts of it are dead, parts of it are alive and thriving, but it was surviving at all costs, and somehow it was winning. Going deep. I saw this tree representing everything good in life: resilience, strength, drive, survival, standing against all odds. It was my mantra for life. 15 years later, I decided to pay the tree a visit, this time with my kids. I wanted to show them my tree of life. We packed up and headed out. I knew exactly where we were going. It's not what we look at that matters, it's what we see. The tree was dead. Now what? For years the tree stood against all odds, and then one day, it didn't.
Life implies death, or shall I say, death implies life.
What the heck? Why does the tree have to be dead? That was not supposed to be part of my story. And now I gotta make sense of it. Sometimes it's the let go, the shift, that brings new life. So I finished the weekend project. Got the bonsai, or future bonsai, into this pot. I always incorporate a couple elements into the project. I always include a stick that kind of contrasts the bonsai. It's a very straight stick with this crazy pattern, but yet it has a straight curve at the top. I include a rock that I find from somewhere on a trip somewhere, and then I put it all together. This bonsai is going to take some time. Once it gets settled into this pot, I'll then start to prune it. I still have 2 things to kind of come to grips with. Once I saw that tree dead, one, I had to grasp this tree, this mantra of my life. What does it mean now that it's dead? I kind of thought we were a bit like the tree, maybe like a bonsai in some aspects. But what about that thought now? What does it mean, tree? But honestly, I don't want to be like that tree. Growing in a crack, parts of it dead. It's tough. I read this passage. Much like nature, life is very often working in our favor. Even when it seems like we are only being faced with adversity, discomfort, and change. So how is life working in our favor? Sometimes I cling to things like thoughts, patterns, habits, religious views, relationships, and then at some point let them go. So many more things open up, and life becomes even more beautiful. So I have another passage. It says, when we can no longer rely on the coping mechanisms to help distract us from the problems in our lives, it can feel as though we've hit rock bottom. The reality is, this sort of awakening is what happens when we finally come to terms with the problems that had existed for a long time. The breakthrough is often a tipping point that precedes the breakthrough. The moment a star implodes, it becomes a supernova. The tree taught us a big lesson. It taught us when to let go. The tree that ultimately changed my life died, and it's gone. But its lesson is not gone. It's still growing. I just think of all the different obstacles, constraints kind of face all of us. Learn to become our own tree. Most of us are dead. We all stand a little different. We all move a little different, think a little different. But in each of us is this beauty that just will always live on. So I looked around. Massive rock where the tree once was. This little teeny crack where the tree once lived. And I noticed another little tree growing from that crack. The tree I knew was gone, but life wasn't. It continued on.